Welcome to the Shootin' Show. Stand by for shots fired.
Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show. We're so glad to be with you this week. We have another great show for you. I think we have some great features you're really going to enjoy. We want to welcome Indianapolis, Indiana, the cable company there, back into our broadcast group. We're so pleased to have you folks with us. We have a lot of strong support in Indiana, certainly in the Indianapolis area. Hey, you know, just because you may live in the big city does not mean you can't be a fine shooter and a lover of the great outdoors, and certainly that's what we want to promote. Well, friends, we have another great show for you. I want to mention again, this is the Colt Sporter, and if you're contemplating buying a semi-automatic rifle like this, you really should consider it, because there are those in Washington, D.C., and other areas of the country that want to literally take these guns away from us. So we sincerely encourage, if you want to buy one of these, I wouldn't wait around. Don't plan on doing it next year. We don't know what next year is going to hold. So this is part of our battle as gun owners, certainly a battle in Congress and on the local and state level of government to literally retain our firearms rights. Well, without further ado, let's let another shooting show begin. Now today, friends, we're going to compare rifles as well as cartridges. We're going to do a very elementary segment here on the speed of shooting multiple targets. The particular gun that Michael is holding up there is the Chinese/Russian SKS in 7.6239. Now this gun has been fitted with a synthetic stock. It looks like a folding stock. It is not. The folks at ATF, I think, have decided that those stocks are not legal. This one is pinned in place, but it's a little bit longer than the standard wood stocks, a little more comfortable for someone like myself to shoot anyway with longer arms. This gun has been fitted with a USA fixed magazine. They make them fixed and non-fixed. Check your local regulations. And this is a representative gun of one of the world's most common and most prolific battle type carbines. And of course, we've showed the SKS and the AK series guns many times on our program. And of course, we're going to compare it to the U.S. battle cartridge and battle carbine combination. And what we're looking at here is the civilian version of the U.S. battle carbine, or a lot of people prefer to call them that because it is a somewhat reduced power cartridge from what we normally think of as the full-size battle rifle, such as an M1 Garand or an M14 in .308. This is the Colt Sporter in .223 Remington, or 5.56 millimeter, which is the current U.S. battle cartridge. So we're going to look at the speeds of shooting these two guns briefly in comparison on multiple targets. What we have today, friends, we're going to be shooting the Colt Sporter and the SKS, and we're going to time ourselves with our Pro Timer 3 from the good folks at Competition Electronics. And as I've said before in the program, you really don't know you need a timer so much until you have used one, and once you finally get one, you'll wonder, well, how in the world did I get along without it? Because these are such excellent devices to really see how long it takes. Now, one of our viewers, we don't have a publication yet, that's not the business we're in. One of our viewers wrote in and commented on the speed with which we shoot some of these semi-automatics. Well, we darn sure don't want to give the anti-gun crowd the impression that these guns are just like full automatic firearms, because they're really not. It takes a pull of the trigger every time for these guns to go off in semi-automatic. And really, in fact, for that matter, the full auto guns are the best behaved class of firearms. There have been fewer incidences of misuse on the full auto guns than anything else for that matter. So it's just that people who are trying to legislate these guns out of existence are certainly out of the hands of the American shooter. They really do not understand, one, how these guns work. They don't understand the difference between an assault rifle and a carbine like this, a sporter, literally a sporter carbine like either one of these two guns. They're just not the same thing. Remember, the assault rifle is a selective fire gun. It will have a selector which would be fitted on the receiver of either one of these guns for that matter, and you'd have a selector saying semi or full auto or something the equivalent that would mean the same thing. These guns are not full auto. They can only be fired once per pull of the trigger. And you know, friends, semi-automatic guns have been around since before 1900. It's just ridiculous what people, the lies that some of the anti-gun organizations and some of the anti-gun media, it's ridiculous what they're saying. And we have some information sent to us by the NRA in response to William Sessions, the FBI director, coming out in favor of gun control or certain legislation. Well, I think probably that reasoning will not hold up. We certainly cannot agree with any support that the FBI has for gun legislation. I don't think it's right. Well, moving right along, let's shoot our Colt Sporter in .223, and of course we're going to time. We're going to shoot 3 shots. We have aimed shots at 3 different water bottles. So you'll know if I hit the water bottles or not, because they'll either start leaking and fall down, or in fact they won't. So we'll know if I hit them certainly. So let's take a look at just how long it takes comparing the 2 cartridges. Now, friends, whoever said the country is quiet obviously had not been in the country yet. And please overlook our crickets. So we've got literally a cricket symphony going here in the background. and please overlook our extra noise. I mean, you're really here. You know, when you hear the birds and the bees and the crickets, you're really on location. All right, let's turn our timer on. And I can't say enough good about the Competition Electronics people. They are so nice. They do stand behind their products, and they're very, very reasonably priced. We'll talk about that later. So let's put our hearing protection in real well, because these guns are loud. And let's just run our little quick time check. We'll go ahead and load our Colt, and I'm going to punch the timer. It will start me, and then I'm at about 10 yards here. We're going to have 3 aim shots on 3 targets. Let's see how long it takes. Well, as I said, a very rudimentary test took 1.92 seconds. Well, let's take our SKS and try the same drill. All right, friends, remember that figure, 1.92 seconds, not terribly fast, but we're going to compare my times with the Colt Sporter to our SKS. We're going to load our SKS, and it did load. Yes, it did. All right, push our safety off, finger off the trigger. Remember, we never touch that trigger till we're ready to shoot. Same drill. 3 fresh water bottles here. Push our start button, get in position. So, in fact, I was a little quicker. I saw the open sights a little earlier, 1.86 seconds. So, as far as the cartridge go themselves, there's just not a whole heck of a lot of difference. The 7.62 by 39 is a very fine deer cartridge within its usable limits. The .223, in my estimation, is not a good deer cartridge because you don't have a large enough or heavy enough bullet. But the .223 is maybe a better battle cartridge. It's easier for some other people to shoot. You don't have, or women, people of smaller stature, you don't have as much recoil. Of course, you don't have a lot with the 7.62 by 39, but you don't, and the reason I was faster then was simply because I could see my open sights down here in the late afternoon light a little easier on the SKS. But you can see there's not a lot of difference between the two. All right, friends, we're going to time 5 shots from each of these guns. The .223 Remington, or 5.56 military round, versus the 7.62 39, and watch the recoil in rapid fire. I say rapid because, yes, I have been down here practicing, and yes, I am probably a little faster than the average person would be in some of these drills. Some of you shoot a lot better than I will, but as I said many times, I'm the average shooter with some practice. So in some days, I wonder if I've had to practice at all. Anyway, let's go ahead and punch our timer. We're going to see what it and watch the gun in recoil. See how it does or does not climb. So we'll get ready, punch our timer, push our safety off, and okay, 1.14 seconds, which is actually pretty quick. But friends, if you could see, and of course we've applied our safety as always, because we still have a loaded gun here. But take that finger out of the trigger guard, away from the trigger, you can see the muzzle rise was just almost non-existent. And between these two cartridges, you have, with the 223, you have a 55 grain bullet moving about 3,150 or so feet per second. And with the SKS, the 7.62 by 39 Russian, you have a 125 grain bullet moving about 2,200 feet per second. They actually have similar muzzle energies, but the 223 is much better for rapid shooting on a target, as far as keeping your muzzle down, keeping it on one single target. But anyway, 1.14 seconds. So let's try our 7.62 by 39, and of course we're going to unload. Safety, safety, and safety. We're going to unload our Colt Sporter and double check it. Yes, it is unloaded. Now then, let's try our same drill, the same drill we just did with the SKF. And watch that muzzle climb and see what you think. And it is loaded. Yes, I did check it. Push our safety off, get in position. So we'll just have my reaction time to deal with, and punch our timer. Well, how about 1.10 seconds, which I would imagine is made up for my reaction time. Now the gun did have more recoil. You could see the muzzle moving a little bit up, certainly from what the Colt did, but it goes to show that the governments have achieved parity in the ease of shooting the various battle cartridges, certainly these two. And they just do different things. One is a better deer cartridge than the other. The Colt, the 223, is a much better long-range varmint cartridge. That Colt will shoot with a scope. It's not unusual for them to shoot into less than an inch for 5-shot groups at 100 yards. The Chinese guns are very serviceable, solid guns, but they're really not designed for maximum accuracy. We've run tests on the show before. Some of you may remember. They may go into 6 inches. The better ones may go into 4 inches or so at 100 yards for 5 shots. The average one is going to probably be 6 to 8 inches at 100 yards for the 7.62 39 cartridge. So what you do, friends, and we're going to go ahead and unload this gun, which we will. Take the cartridge out, press the other cartridges down in the magazine, let the bolt go all the way forward. Yes, it is unloaded, and our safety is applied. Now, friends, as you can see, there's really not much difference in the performance of these two cartridges, certainly up close, certainly in speed of firing and hitting targets. They're almost the same. They're vastly different guns. The SKS is probably the greatest firearms bargain to come along in many years. You can literally get them for retail for less than $150 in a lot of areas, and they're really rugged, durable. They're well-made guns. They're well-engineered. The metal is of a real fine quality. And of course, here's one of my very favorite guns of all time is the Colt Sporter / AR-15. The mechanism on these guns has been refined to a fine art. They're very, very well made. Colt really can be proud of their manufacturing processes on these 223 semi-automatic carbines. They're really very, very fine rifles. They just do different things. And the reason we've talked a lot about these semi-automatic guns on a number of shows now, we get a tremendous amount of mail and phone calls asking information. Well, I'd like to buy a such and such semi-automatic. The SKS is probably the most popular semi-automatic gun being sold in the country right now due to pricing, and they do really perform well. But a lot of the more, shall we say, experienced shooters, some of those who really want something a little out of the ordinary or something that is of super quality, and they will go for the AR-15 or the Colt Sporter. And this is why we're talking about this, because there is a tremendous amount of interest. A lot of our folks are simply afraid they're not going to be able to buy guns like this in the near future. And tell you the truth, I don't know. As I've said many times, we have got to stand up for our rights. We have got to meet these people head on and let them know that we're not going to back down, that they're not going to disarm us. We're going to remain a strong and free people. There's a reason that Second Amendment is there, and it is for us to ensure a strong country inside and out. So, as I've said before, you pays your money, you takes your choice. There's really not a lot of difference as far as time goes on how fast you can or can't shoot one of these guns. Both of them, for what they are I think, fairly priced. The SKS especially is a fine bargain, because they pay those folks over in China probably 25 cents or so an hour. And of course, the people that work at the Colt factory get quite a bit more. But they're just two different concepts, two different guns that do similar jobs. And I say similar because either one of these guns are absolutely top of the list for home defense. It just depends on what you want or what you can afford or what you like.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after this break for your local cable company or television station.
Awesome firepower, precision rifle skills. That's what you'll find along with lots more in these two great new videos, Marine Corps Firepower and Marine Corps Silent Drill Team. See an actual firepower demonstration of the latest Marine Corps weapons of the infantry, including the M220 Echo Tow missile system, grenade launchers, mortars, and lots more. Plus the Marine Corps Silent Drill Team, an incredible display of precision rifle handling skills by the most respected and admired rifle squad in the world. Two great new videos for one low price, just $19.95 through this special TV offer. Marine Corps Firepower and Marine Corps Silent Drill Team. Two videos for the price of one. Call and order yours right now.
Call toll-free with your credit card ready, 1-800-942-8273. By ordering today, you'll receive this 32-page gun video catalog absolutely free. So order now, 1-800-942-8273. Call now.
All right, people, the voters are screaming about violent crime. What are we going to tell them?
How about the truth? We're not keeping violent criminals in prison.
Sir,
Oh, yeah,
35
that's right.
states are under court order to release criminals.
The average criminal set free will commit 187 more crimes a year.
We're out of prison space.
We gotta make more. Good people are getting hurt bad.
With the likelihood of arrest and conviction, a murderer will spend 1.8 years in prison.
Yeah, and a rapist a couple of months.
I'm not in the prison building business.
We're in the re-election business.
Thank you.
Listen, just a handful of repeat offenders commit most violent crimes.
We could just stop letting them go.
Well, stop giving me the facts and start giving me headlines.
How about another gun control law?
Yeah, we've already got 20,000 of them.
It just don't work.
So my gun control plan to restrict firearm sales to citizens will break the back of violent crime and rid our streets of violent criminals. Do we have any questions?
Don't let politicians get away with murder. Join the NRA.
Now, friends, we're going to talk a little bit about cleaning and care of our firearms today. And we're going to start with some of the things you're going to need. You see a bottle of Hops powder solvent, and the little round brass object there in the center of your screen is a bore protector, a brass bore protector, very important. Then we have a cleaning rod with a little brass tip there, or cleaning jag. Then we have a brass brush on the end of a rod. We have an old toothbrush, which is real important. And then we have, today we have some break-free lubricant and cleaner. And break-free has been a very fine product for us in cleaning and protecting metal. Another item we'll see back there are some cleaning patches from Clean Bore. Let's see if we can home in on those a little bit. There we go. Clean Bore cleaning patches, some good paper towels, some cloth cleaning patches that you can buy either ready-made or go down to your local discount store and buy some flannel or something like that. So also one other essential thing to have is a basic little gun maintenance toolkit. This particular one is from Lyman. It has all the necessary screw sizes that you'll commonly encounter: a little brass punch, a screwdriver, a little brass and plastic hammer, and a screwdriver ratchet. So let's do a little cleaning. Friends, we're going to talk a little bit about cleaning because a lot of you as new gun owners are not really sure how to do this. It's extremely important. If we're going to shoot these guns, we need to learn how to maintain them and how to take care of them so they'll give us a long and proper service. A couple of things we've mentioned earlier. We have break-free, which is a very fine lubricant. A number of others will do. Rim oil, things, G96, all sorts of good oils out there. Break-free is one of the best. We look forward to be testing some of the Tetra gun lube here in the near future. But for today we have break-free. The cleaning solvent we're going to use today, we're going to use break-free as more a preservative and a lubricant. And we're going to clean with the Hops number 9 powder solvent. I'll get you an old toothbrush, one of your rejects from your bathroom. Just be sure it's real. You got all the toothpaste washed out of it before you use it in your kit. We've got our brass brush we looked at a moment ago, the cleaning rod, and I'll tell you what, these little lead away patches from Clean Bore are really, really good. You can remove lead, you can remove all kinds of stains and things from your different guns. Lead away is really a very, very useful little patch. And our cleaning patches we have, as far as just plain, I went down to Walmart and got some, I believe that's flannel, and heck, I got a yard or two of it for just a couple of dollars, and took some scissors and cut it to the size that I wanted. So, and this is a plastic cola bottle that we just cut the top part off of. These are real handy for storing stuff in. Another thing that's real important is a good quality paper towel. That's what I use. This one is a Job Squad. You can go down to Sears or Walmart and get one of the shop towels. They also work real well. But it's a heavier duty paper towel. It doesn't leave the residue like a lot of the other types of paper towels. Because you don't want to leave bits of paper towel or whatever else under your ejector star on your revolver or any part of the gun. You don't want the gun clean. This is a real handy thing from Lyman, which is, they call it their Sportsman Selection. It's a little toolbox, but it has all sorts of things that you may need in tightening screws on your gun or adjusting your sights or just doing all kinds of things. So anyway, we're not going to be using this much today, but we're going to show you a few helpful hints, and we'll be talking more about this on future programs. And I think certainly from some of the suggestions we get, we do read your letters, every last one of them, and we do appreciate all your comments. And this is one of the things we're answering today. We had a request from Kurt brought to my attention the other day that we needed some cleaning instruction on the show. So we're going to start with that today. You know, one of the most precise parts of any gun, and of course we know, first thing you do is you be sure and check your gun is unloaded, number one. But one of the most precision areas of your entire firearm is none other than the crown on the muzzle. It is real, real important that we take care of this. Years ago, when I first started to shoot, I had a 22 handgun that it shot tremendous groups when I got it, and I kept cleaning it, and the accuracy kept deteriorating. I didn't understand why. Well, what I was doing, I was putting a cleaning rod down the barrel and running it back and forth in the barrel without anything to protect the muzzle of the barrel. And what I did, just by my own ignorance, I ruined the exact measurements which the manufacturers try so hard to keep constant. I rubbed one spot somewhere there on the muzzle, And what I did is I ruined the accuracy of the gun. It was a very fine .22, and I didn't understand what had happened until later on, till somebody told me, like I'm about to mention to you folks. So here we have a muzzle protector. And this particular one, in fact, I don't even know who makes this. Maybe Clean Bore, some other people do. But what you do, you put it on your cleaning rod here, which I'm about to do, like so. And this one's been used so much, I swelled the cleaning rod threads there a little bit. Now then, I'm going to put our little cleaning brass tip, our little jag on the end. Now then, let's say we put a patch, and of course we would normally soak this in the hops, but let's put a patch down the muzzle, and what we'll do is we'll start that patch in the muzzle, but then we'll let the bore protector down right to the muzzle. So we want that brass touching that steel. We don't want any steel to steel contact. We want brass on that steel, and the bore protector will keep our cleaning rod properly centered in the barrel. So if we run it back and forth down in the barrel for cleaning, we won't touch the lands and grooves inside the barrel. A very important procedure. And what you want to do, you want your gun clean. You don't want any trash or anything left in the inner working parts, or for instance under the ejector star. That must be clean for these revolvers to function properly. That's one way that you can in fact jam a revolver. Get something underneath the ejector star there, and it'll prevent the cylinder from rotating properly. So you want all this clean. Now for doing something like that, cleaning around the bottom of the ejector star and the ratchet here, what you will do, you can dip this old toothbrush in that hops number 9, and you'll notice that I'm wearing safety glasses, because when you're cleaning like this, you darn sure don't want any of the fluids to get in your eyes. It's extremely important to wear safety glasses. Anytime we fool around with these old guns, let's wear our safety glasses. Anyway, you can take your brush and see you can get in those small areas and clean and rub there where you couldn't with just a regular piece of cloth or towel. So that's another area that definitely needs attention. Something else we want to mention, when you oil the gun, once you get it clean and get all the solvent wiped out of it, you want just a little bit of oil. You do not want to drench your gun in oil, because if you have an over-oiled gun on the outside, it will pick up dirt, it will pick up lint, and the effect will be worse than if it had no oil at all, just about. Stainless steel does not require as much care as, say, a blued gun would, but it still requires some maintenance. It requires lubrication just like anything else. It also requires a thin film or a regular cleaning anyway to get, when we touch something, the perspiration in our skin has salt in it, and salt will definitely corrode, whether it's stainless or regular steel, blued steel, it will still corrode. Stainless takes a lot longer. That's the good news, but it will corrode. So we darn sure don't want a lot of oil dripping off our gun. On the internal parts, you just need a light film. You just need a little bit goes a long way. So anyway, we touched on just a couple of things for cleaning today. It's some of the basic equipment you need, and as we go along in the next few weeks, we'll talk more about cleaning whatever kind of gun you have. Now friends, since we're here in our loading room today, and one thing that I would encourage you not to do is leave your I don't clean my guns around gunpowder or anything else. We happen to be demonstrating this by my loader today, but I tend to, I want to keep that separate. But something that we've had a number of questions about, and we do try and answer your questions as well as we can on the program, is what about an alternative to firearms? I know this is the shooting show, and I guess you can shoot, you definitely shoot some stuff out of this little can here, but this is something that may be an alternative for some people who cannot take firearms into particular areas, and we're just going to talk about that for a second. This is a little spray can of Punch 2 M-3, and what this is it's not the same thing as mace. It is contains 5% oleo rosin capsicum. Now what that amounts to is, friends, this is a little bottle full of souped up red pepper, and I do mean souped up, highly concentrated and reformulated, I suppose. Anyway, this has the same effect when you spray someone with this capsicum spray. It's like putting fire in their eyes and up their nose, and it really makes them, they think about doing something else. They think about more like falling down on the ground and ceasing and desisting. Now this is not an answer, this is not the same thing as a firearm, and for defending your home, these things, these sprays like this, are not, it's not the same thing as a firearm. However, for certain limited applications, a lot of police officers carry this for a less than lethal confrontation. The pepper spray types, and there are a number of different manufacturers that make this, similar products, but the pepper spray is also real good for, say, an attacking dog. I've even heard of bears being turned, I've heard of it, this is not firsthand, it's something I read, by the capsicum spray, so it's very effective on most things and most people. And what it does, it shuts down your respiratory system, and I'll recount a quick story. A while back, a lot of you know that I've been a private investigator for many years, and I periodically carry this in addition to my firearm. Well, I put some in my back pocket, and of course the little sprayers on the top. So what I did is I happened to hit the button as I put it in my pocket, and all we had, it just went, that's all it did, just a little bit of a, okay, I didn't think much about it, because I've never been sprayed with this stuff. I don't want to be sprayed with it. Didn't think too much about it. Well, a few minutes later, I began to choke, my eyes began to burn, my throat was hard to breathe. My wife, who was in another room in our home, began to, what's wrong? She said, I'm getting sick, something. And what we had to do, we had to get out of the house and open the doors and windows, because this stuff is that severe. All right, this is one of the limitations that it has. If you're in a rest area or something like that, and you had to spray somebody who was attacking you with this stuff here, what you have got to do is you've got to make a run for it. You have got to get out of that building. You've got to get away from it, because since it's a spray, it'll be in the air, and you don't want this stuff to get you too. And if you were outside, say in a stiff breeze, and you sprayed it and it came back on you, friends, let me tell you what, you're in trouble. So this has a limited application, but it is an alternative. If someone, for one reason or another, cannot carry a firearm due to regulation or whatever else, this is something that they might consider to add to their personal protection battery. So just something we thought we'd add for today.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or television station.
Hi, I'm Bill McIntyre with an update from Capitol Hill here at National Rifle Association headquarters in Washington, D.C. There's a new poll out conducted by pollster Lou Harris. The poll is mostly compelling for what it left out rather than what it reported. For example, there was a great deal of attention focused on how 52% of those responding favored a handgun ban. But the Harris poll failed to emphasize that 67% of respondents said they probably would not, or definitely would not, turn in their handguns if such a ban occurred. That kind of result is indicative of the inherent flaws built into the Harris poll. For example, the poll showed NRA membership to be dwindling. The reality is that NRA has signed up more than 600,000 new members in the last year and a half, bringing our total roll call to a record 3.1 million members. Additionally, the poll asked if respondents favored the so-called Brady Bill and described it as a 7-day waiting period. The Brady Bill is not a 7-day waiting period, and it hasn't been for 2 years. And you and I both know quite well that the current Brady Bill is a 5-day interim waiting period, which sunsets and switches to an instant check system with provisions to upgrade and automate criminal history records. Both of these are trademark NRA reforms. The fact is, the Harris poll keeps people in a box and only lets them respond to questions about firearms. And of course, their responses will reflect bias in a one-sided line of questioning. If you let Americans express their opinions, they will quickly point to the root causes of violence in America, namely disintegrating values and a catch-and-release criminal justice system. When you ask what should be done to reduce violent crime, most Americans believe that fixing the bankrupt criminal justice system is the best place to start. Things like tougher sentencing, easing gridlock courtrooms, prison expansion where necessary, and tougher parole standards, especially for habitual violent criminals. The Harris poll is really a sideshow distracting from a probe of meaningful solutions to violent crime. I'm Bill McIntyre, and I'll be back next week with another update from the NRA.
I'm proud to be an American, thank God our country's strong. But some time ago, you know, it occurred to me, there's something going wrong. My granddad fought against tyranny so we could all be free. I'm afraid, my friends, his fight has passed down to you and me, down to you and me. We got people telling us what to do, don't even know our name. We're just a number on some little card, and I think that's a shame. If George and Abe could see us now, bet they'd both agree this is not exactly what they had in mind. The land of liberty, sweet land of liberty. Oh, I love to hear my Harley run. I like being free to live out my dreams, and I want to have a little fun. I want to hold on to what we've got, from sea to shining sea. I'm afraid, my friend, the fight has passed down to you and me. Oh, down to you and me. We got politicians and bureaucrats all telling us what to do. And they don't seem at all concerned about what they put us through. They tax and spend like there's no end, throw it all away. Just keep in mind there'll come a time when nobody's left to pay. Well, nobody's left to pay. There's people that wanna lock us up just to keep us away from harm. They want a police state to give us orders, but they can get us unarmed. There's folks that say they know the truth, well, they saw it on TV. We got some boys on Capitol Hill, don't wanna have us free. No, they don't wanna have us free. My Harley run. I like being free to live out my dreams, and I want to have a little fun. I want to hold on to what we've got, from sea to shining sea. I'm afraid, my friends, the fight has passed down to you and me. Oh, down to you and me. Down, down, down to you and me. Oh, down, down, down to you and me. Down, 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 you and me. Down to you and me. Down, down, down to you and me.
Friends, we hope you enjoyed our music video. A lot of us have worked so hard, so long on this project. We appreciate all the mail we're getting. We appreciate everyone's phone calls and letters in support of our project and what we're doing. And I tell you what, our music video really has our folks stirred up. It's gotten a lot of attention in areas that people would not normally watch our program. Well, we have created a lot of interest through our music video that has really helped our show. If you don't mind, please call your local radio station and ask them to play our song, Down to You and Me, by yours truly, Johnny Rowland, because every time it goes on the air, friends, it helps the Shootin' Show project. Now, we do have videos available, copies of this video available for sale for $17.95, and you can write to us at the Shootin' Show, 554 Kings Highway, Shreveport, Louisiana. That zip code is 71104. And as for the video, we also have our music tape with 10 of my songs, including our new record, the Down to You and Me song. It's all on the audio tape you can buy for $9.95. Send us a check or a money order. We'll be happy to send you one out. And one more thing, we're getting a lot of mail about our official Shootin' Show cap. And we appreciate so much you folks who are ordering our cap. As I said before, it is really a conversation starter because people see the Shootin' Show cap and they'll ask you, well, what's that? And you can tell them, well, it's a program that you support and you're so proud that's on the air. So you can buy the official Shootin' Show cap for $12.95, and as I've said earlier, I have said, this is not just a stick-on patch. This is embroidered real well by a local company. It's a very nice cap. I think you'll be proud to own. It's fully adjustable. It has a little zipper type arrangement in back, and you can just squeeze it together and slide to fit whatever head size you have. So we'll be very pleased to send you an official Shootin' Show cap for $12.95. And I think you'll really enjoy wearing it at the range or around town or wherever you go and you need a nice cap, and it'll show your support of the Shootin' Show. Want to remind you now, our music tape, 10 of my songs on it, including our new record, Down to You and Me, is $9.95. And our address again is the Shootin' Show, 554 Kings Highway, Shreveport, Louisiana. That zip code is 71104. Our phone number is area 318-222-8515. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to introduce, this is Larry Scott with KWKH Radio, and he is a fan of our program and a good friend, and we're so pleased to be working with him. Tell us about your program, Larry.
Well, John, we're on from midnight to 5:30. That's Central Time, Monday through Friday morning on KWKH. It's the old Louisiana Hayride Station. We're at 11:30 on your AM dial, and we call it the Interstate Road Show, and we'd love to have you join us.
Well, a lot of our viewers out there already listen to you, Larry, and folks, you're going to be able to get some updates on Larry's program. Remember, that's on KWKH Radio. That's 11:30 on that dial, and we're so pleased to be working with Larry. And now, friends, for this week's portion, with Lieutenant Colonel Art Alphin retired with the great A-Square Company now, 1 Industrial Park, Bedford, Kentucky. That phone number is area 502-255-7456. For more information on their products, give them a call. They're fine people. They build a great product.
The period from 1885 through the start of World War I saw a flurry of activity throughout the industrialized world in the development of the infantry rifle. There were many competing designs, such as Mauser, Lee, Hotchkiss, Krag, Jorgensen, Lebel, Mannlicher, Viterli, Kropatschek, each with its own unique set of advantages and disadvantages. The adoption of any one particular design over another was as much caught up in questions of national pride as it was in superiority of design. Further, many of these designs went up dead-end streets as they were chambered for black powder cartridges, rim-fire cartridges, had tubular magazines, or had some other problem. Some of these designs recovered from their problems and got back into the mainstream of development. Others never recovered and simply disappeared from the scene. Even worse, some of these weapons were adopted and issued by the nations involved before the design itself had reached its maximum potential. All of the designs we mentioned were basic variations of the turnbolt design, the idea for which came from the Mauser single-shot breech loader of 1871. By the start of World War I, almost all weapons that had been adopted were bolt action of one sort or another. They all used cartridges with smokeless powder and jacketed Spitzer bullets, and had some sort of integral magazine with charger loading. As a good generic representative of the bolt-action magazine rifle, we have picked the Pattern 17 Enfield. This rifle borrowed a little bit from the Lee, the Mauser, and a few other designs, and was to be, along with the new 276 Magnum cartridge, the British rifle for 1914. World War I put a stop to its issue. The tooling was transferred to the United States, and the rifle was made in .303 caliber for the British from 1915 until 1917, when we entered the war. The tooling was then converted to .30 caliber, and the rifle became general issue for U.S. forces in World War I. Most bolt actions were simple, yet robust. In order to operate, the firer grasped the bolt handle and lifted it, thereby unlocking the bolt. He then drew the handle to the rear, thereby extracting the cartridge in the chamber, and at the rear of bolt movement, ejecting the cartridge out of the weapon. If the rifle was empty, then the follower in the magazine would rise, blocking forward motion of the bolt and telling the shooter that he needed to reload the weapon. The shooter then took his magazine charger, normally a disposable stripper clip holding 5 rounds of ammunition, and placed it in a corresponding notch milled into the receiver bridge. He pressed all 5 rounds downward with his thumb and then discarded the stripper clip. Forward motion of the bolt would then pick up the top round in the magazine, driving it forward into the chamber. Downward motion of the bolt would then lock the weapon. Depending upon design, at some point during the lifting of the bolt handle or the forward motion of the bolt, the cocking piece and firing pin would be cocked and held by the sear. Upon pressing the trigger, the sear was depressed, the firing pin released to go forward and fire the cartridge. The shooter then grasped the bolt handle, lifting it upward, and the cycle started all over again. All bolt-action magazine rifles had some sort of adjustable sights. The most common were like this Mauser, an open sight mounted on the barrel. Though it is ballistically a very good sight, it is actually difficult for the shooter to use. Of the various designs, the best was a peep or aperture sight mounted on the receiver bridge. This placed it close to the shooter's eye, had the longest sight radius, and was the easiest for the shooter to recover his sight picture after he took his face away from the stock in order to work the bolt. In the case of the P-17, this sight was adjustable to 1,600 yards. Normally, however, a shooter was only trained to estimate the range to the target and independently fire at targets to 1,000 yards. Anything over 1,000 yards was normally volley fire with the range and the firing commands given by the squad leader or the platoon commander.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Now, friends, for the absolute best in monthly shooting magazines, turn to Shooting Times. They have all sorts of excellent features on handguns, rifles, shotguns, and black powder, and hand loading by some of your favorite gun writers such as Dick Metcalf and Rick Jameson and Bill Jordan, just to name a few. Each month you'll find interesting articles on guns, shooting, reloading, and new products in the firearms industry. That, along with information on pending legislation of interest to all gun owners. For subscription information, call 1-800-727-4353. Shooting Times, the best there is. You know, the good folks at Britton's have been supporters of the Shootin' Show from the very beginning, and we really do appreciate their support and also their fine products. For all your shooting needs in the Arklatex area, come to Britton's at 517 Louisiana Avenue. That's in Shreveport, Louisiana. The zip is 71101. Their phone number is area 318-221-4131. They also have an extra new location out on Hollywood in Shreveport, downtown and on Hollywood.
In some armies, marksmanship training was given little attention. In others, rifle marksmanship was considered to be the primary soldierly quality. The British are a good example of this. They had learned their lesson in the Boer War, and in the early 1900s, their emphasis on marksmanship made them one of the better armies in the world. The U.S. Army also placed great emphasis on individual rifle marksmanship, and numerous marksmanship exchange programs had been engaged in between U.S. and British rifle clubs since the 1870s, and on an official basis between the armies from the 1900s. In fact, the first Wimbledon Cup was a rifle marksmanship award between the two nations. In those nations that did emphasize individual rifle marksmanship, the sling was not simply a carrying strap, as you use today, but served double duty to help stabilize the weapon during firing. The sling on this P-17 is of such a type. The shooter got into it like this. The sling helps steady the rifle prior to and during discharge, help reduce the movement of the weapon during recoil, and help the shooter reacquire the sight picture. This latter can be quite important. The reacquiring of the sight picture after working the bolt frequently took more time than the working of the bolt itself. You can see the advantage of the sling. The British Army in particular conducted a great deal of training on the manipulation of the bolt and reacquisition of the sight picture. We'll show you a P-17 in action against pop-up targets at 3 ranges and against a 4th stationary target at 680 yards. As you watch this, you'll note the shooter make a major error and then correct himself partway through. See if you can spot it. Before we go to the chart and compare the bolt action, what error do you think you spotted? In fact, the error was that when the shooter finished engaging the targets at 330 yards, which was at the edge of his battle sight range, he should have adjusted the sights before engaging the target at 680 yards. He fired his first shot without this adjustment, and the round hit well short. After adjusting the sight, he hit close to the target, though to one side. The wind was very, very heavy on the day that he was firing, and that miss was caused by wind drift. Though not shown on the tape, by the fifth round, he was putting the shots right in there. On the chart, it looks like this. The superiority of the bolt action over the single-shot breech loaders, and we're using the 1873 Springfield as a generic example, is quite obvious. Though the battle sight range on this P-17 was 370 yards, this could vary from one rifle cartridge combination to another to between 320 and 370 yards. The maximum adjust sight range could be 100 or 200 yards less, again depending upon the rifle and cartridge combination. Also remember that 1,000 yards did not represent the maximum distance that the bullet would travel. Firing in volley, effective fire could be delivered at greater ranges. In fact, British rifles before World War I had sight adjustments to 2,600 yards, and they regularly conducted volley fire training out to 1,900 yards. For volume of fire, you can see that the bolt action has roughly double the volume of the single shot. The bolt action's primary advantages in volume of fire are its magazine charging with the stripper clip and the relatively small motions that have to be made in order to reload the rifle. This volume of fire for the bolt action on the chart assumes recovery of the sight picture and taking a few seconds per round to aim precisely at one of the longer range targets. At closer ranges, such as 150 yards or less, where precise sight picture was not all that important, recovery after recoil was much faster, and the volume of fire would frequently go up to 20 rounds per minute. The effect of this drastic increase in both volume of fire and combat range in just a few short years is almost legendary.
You know, friends, Shotgun News is the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with thousands of firearms bargains. Shotgun News, Post Office Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska. That zip is 68902. Their phone number is area 402-463-4589. MasterCard or Visa, subscriptions only, 1-800-345-6923. Friends, we hope you've enjoyed the shooting show today as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. Remember, if you have something going on in your area, a shooting event or historical event that you'd like to see on our program, give us a call. There's a chance that Kurt or myself might get up there and cover it. So you can call us in Shreveport, area 318-222-8515. If you lose that number, well, we're in Shreveport, Louisiana information under the shooting show. Until next week, we'll look forward to seeing you on another shooting show.